Gex here with more footage from Super Smash Bros. Ultimate custom stages. And here's one I made based off of a funny scene from the movie Finding Dory. This stage is titled Gerald! I don't know why, there's just something so funny about that scene from Finding Dory. The two seals are just picking on the weird looking seal. Gerald! Yeah, I tried making Gerald's eyes look a little dopier, like more spread out, but unfortunately due to stage builder's limitations, I tried putting like the eyes in a certain position in a certain size, but it just didn't work. It looked really strange, so I had no choice but to kind of even them out a little more, which doesn't make him look as dumb as he's supposed to, but did what I could. See, if I'm not mistaken, tomorrow's the 14th, and I heard they were gonna have a new Nintendo Direct based off of Mario Maker 2. Hopefully that will be interesting. Although I am excited for Mario Maker 2, I'm just kind of disappointed that it's probably not gonna feel as fun as it was, like making stuff on the Nintendo Wii U with Mario Maker 1, because as I've expressed in previous videos, I really don't think the Switch is as good as being used as like a drawing board compared to the Wii U with its stylus. The Switch, you know, it's got a multi-touch screen, and so it mostly works with like finger touch, where the Wii U was designed more for like stylus touch. And so, you know, when you compare the two, what would you rather draw with, a pen or your finger? Yeah, like drawing with a pen is more easier, more precise, and you know, it's a shame that there's no way to make like a multi-touch screen that works with a stylus. One that doesn't have like a rubber knob at the end, that is. I mean, like more like a traditional plastic stylus, like the ones that the DS or 3DS or Wii U had. You know, without a doubt, I can tell Mario Maker 2 is going to be a great game. I mean, a lot of the new features they teased look amazing, but it's like, darn, it's too bad that it won't have the same comfort of drawing compared to the original Mario Maker. Unless Nintendo can somehow make like some kind of Apple Pen accessory for Nintendo, the best we can do is just either use our fingers or use those styluses that you can buy that pretty much just act like a finger on a stick. Not very comfy to draw with. So without a doubt, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate's, while its stage builder is definitely superb compared to the features that the Wii U version had, I still gotta admit that it felt more comfortable to draw stages out on the Wii U compared to the Switch. Same thing with like Splatoon 2 versus Splatoon 1. I thought drawing on Splatoon was much more fun than drawing on Splatoon 2. Now, here's a funny stage based off a pretty funny animated short from Terminal Montage. I think it was called something about Yoshi's Island. I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of you have already seen his videos, and if not, look them up, because they are really funny. They just have like a very simple art style, but a lot of crazy hyperactive humor filled throughout, a lot of blink and you'll miss moments. So this is based off a scene at the end where Yoshi defeats Baby Bowser by smacking the crap out of him. It's just the look on his face and the timing of that scene was just so funny. So messed up and so funny. I find it kind of funny that someone made a stage based off of that. I still haven't beaten Yoshi's Crafted World. Occasionally I go back to it, but I don't know, there's something about the game where, although I like it, it's just like, it's not keeping my attention as much as like some other games are, so it's more like a game where, when I go to it, I'll beat one level, and then it's like, I just kind of, you know, it's like I don't want to go through a bunch of that again, because, you know, when I'm playing these Yoshi games, I'm trying to, like, waste a lot of time trying to find everything in there, and so, usually in the end, I get disappointed because, darn it, I didn't find everything, and so, it's like, I've already wasted enough time on one level, I'm not willing to waste enough time on another level at that moment, I'll give it a few days to get back to it, so, it's like right now, I already got to, like, the first fork in the road of the game, I've beaten the first boss already, and I'm to a point, like, where there's a fork in the road, and one path leads to, like, kind of like a flower field or something like that, the other end leads you to, like a dinosaur-themed level or something like that, and, well, I know one of them's a dinosaur level, I can't remember what the other one was, but regardless, that's where I'm at right now, so, I haven't gotten very far in the game, but I do like it, though, I do think, you know, I like how it seems to have more inspiration from Yoshi's story compared to Yoshi's Island, because, you know, I like Yoshi's Island, but there's one thing I always hated about that game, besides Baby Mario, it was the aiming controls. But Yoshi's story, I thought, did a really good job at fixing the aiming controls, having it where you could actually aim the crosshair with the joystick and release when you're ready, much better than the strange roulette route they decided to go with in the original. And so, when they made, like, sequels to Yoshi's Island, I was hoping they'd take more of a page from Yoshi's stories, aiming controls, and darn it, they went back to Yoshi's Island's controls, and damn it, they brought back Baby Mario. Then came Yoshi's Woolly World, where it's like, this is what Yoshi's Island should have been to begin with. A game where you control Yoshi, but you don't have Baby Mario. The problem is, the aiming controls still kind of suck. So when I saw Crafted World was kind of like a spiritual sequel to Woolly World, I loved how it's like, oh, they took a page from Yoshi's story. They actually fixed the aiming controls. I like that. And, let's see. Although, if there's one thing I loved about Woolly World that I hate that did not make a return in Crafted World, it would be both the amiibo functionality and the alternate costumes. So, you know, when I heard that there was going to be amiibo support in this game, I was like, oh, I hope it's like the one from Woolly World where you unlocked alternate skins based off of the characters the amiibos are modeled after. I mean, there's something so cool of how not only it supported the Mario amiibos, but it also supported like the Sonic amiibo and so many others. And, you know, there's something so cool about having a Sonic-colored Yoshi. You know, a blue Yoshi with Sonic shoes. I thought that was so much fun to play as. But, with Crafted World, it looks like they got rid of those and just replaced it with cardboard armor shaped off of the characters' outfits. It just looks stupid. Same with the other costumes you get in the game. They're just not, but, I mean, darn it, Nintendo, we get it. You love cardboard all of a sudden. Enough with, you know, it's bad enough you have Nintendo Labo, but quit forcing it in all these other games. Before I go on more about that, the stage I'm currently on is a Johnny Bravo themed stage. But, so yeah, back to Yoshi. Yeah, I was really disappointed with the amiibos and costumes. And, you know, one thing that really pissed me off about having the Wii U version was how eventually they upstaged it with a lower quality 3DS version, but for some reason the lower quality version had more features put into it, and the one that made me jealous the most was how you could design your own pattern for Yoshi, so you can now make your own custom Yoshi appearance, and I thought that sounded really cool. And it's like, oh, I hope they bring that into Crafted World. No, they did not. They didn't even bother adding, you know, I don't see why they didn't have the creative mode as like a DLC for Yoshi's Woolly World on Wii U. That's the least they should have done. Had it be a downloadable feature, but nope, it had to be a lousy 3DS exclusive, and I was not willing to buy that game again on an inferior console. But, so, yeah. I still look forward to, you know, going further in Yoshi's Crafted World, because I think the creativity of it is pretty good. Some of the levels are very fun. It feels like a good mix of both Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's Story, taking, like, the best elements from both of those games. So, Johnny Bravo, that was a show I never really cared for as a kid, unfortunately, but honestly, like, when you look back at it as an adult, I find it a lot more funnier. I don't know, like, this is just one of those shows that I don't think a lot of kids really got into, and apparently it seems like that, because the show didn't last as long as it could have, and, you know, this was more of a show aimed for, like, older kids compared to, like, the younger kids, but, I will admit, though, it is a funny idea, but, you know, he's basically like a grown man-child, like, slash Elvis impersonator, and there's, but, yeah, good luck getting this show to air nowadays with how PC everything has gotten. Yeah, like, I remember, I can't remember the name, but I remember there was some kind of, YouTube page, and they made, like, these funny animated parodies, and they actually showed, like, what a modern-day version of Johnny Bravo would look like, and they'd show, like, how, yeah, he would be getting into a lot more trouble nowadays, because everything he'd be doing would be considered, like, sexual harassment. It's really funny. It's like, oh god, like, yeah, Johnny Bravo would not last in the modern world, that's for sure. Then again, that's kind of like what made the original show so funny, though, is because he, you know, he was kind of insensitive towards other women, and so that's what made it so funny when you saw them beat the crap out of him in response. There was only, like, as a kid, there was only, like, one Johnny Bravo episode I actually liked, and that was the Scooby-Doo crossover. I remember that was, like, on an old VHS tape of Scooby-Doo that, my babysitter had, and, I just remember, I actually was mistaking that for an actual Scooby-Doo episode. I mean, they did a good job at, somehow fooling me into thinking that was an actual episode of Scooby-Doo that somehow had, like, this character who I'd never heard of, and... And then eventually you get older and you realize, oh, that was a Johnny Bravo episode? That was made like decades after the original Scooby-Doo, huh? I don't know what the source is, but here's like that one meme where it's like, is this and then insert, you know, word here. So the name of the stage is this a Smash stage? I just thought it was pretty funny. I honestly hope for is that if we ever get another Super Smash Brothers, I really hope that we eventually get a new entry that it doesn't treat the stages like linear platform fests. Because I've noticed that a lot ever since Super Smash Bros. Brawl. They've been focusing less on, like, very environmental looking stages, and they focus more on just a bunch of flat platforms, even ones that just float in midair. Almost like every stage is modeled after like some kind of Battlefield clone, which makes it very underwhelming. I mean, look at the Mega Man stage. It's basically just a Battlefield stage with Mega Man gimmicks here and there. Look at Midgar, the Final Fantasy stage. Well, the Final Fantasy VII stage. It's basically a Battlefield clone with some gimmicks that go on in the background. And same could be said about the WarioWare stage from Brawl. It's another Battlefield layout, but with mini games going on. And it just gets really tiring. You know, sometimes you want to see another stage from a franchise without it feeling like a really flat, linear thing where most of the details in, like, the distant background. I want stages that have more interactive props in the actual battleground, and I want it to where, like, if you pause the camera and rotate if you pause the game and rotate the camera, I want it to look like the arena is actually very wide and open, and not like they're just, like, on a narrow path. I mean, look, for instance, the arena you fight in when fighting the bosses in this stage, in this game, I thought those were really cool, and it's like, darn, I actually wish those were playable stages. I mean, like, the big open field you fight the Rathalos from Monster Hunter in, I thought that would have been a really fun arena to fight in, and, you know, and then not to mention, like, how on Super Smash Bros. For Wii U, they actually had a few stages where it kind of teased at the idea of having more wide-open areas, like, the Woohoo Island level, based off Wii Sports Resort. I loved, like, you know, when it dropped you off on, like, that big beach, and it really made, there's just something so interesting about that area. It felt so wide and open. It wasn't just like a narrow, floating bunch of platforms with a bunch of cliffs here and there. You know, it was a nice, interesting change of pace. Same thing with the Mario Galaxy level. How it was cool how it was a more open level. The problem is, with these open levels, is there's not much obstacles or gimmicks or anything going on besides, you know, like, a few scenery changes here and there, or transportation transitions, but other than that, just let you know, I can't help but notice that so many stages in these games are just Battlefield clones, and it makes you wonder, what was the point in adding the option to turn a lot of these stages into Battlefield forms when so many of them are already Battlefield to begin with? It just feels kind of pointless to turn a Battlefield stage into a Battlefield form, if you know what I'm saying. Now, I can kind of understand, like, a Final Destination form, because some people don't want to fight with platforms. They just want to fight on a simple stage. But for me, I'm a guy who kind of wants more variety in the stages, and I just can't help but notice that a lot of these stages, although there is a huge number of stages in this game, you know, it's the biggest there's ever been, I can't help but notice there's not a whole lot of variety to them. I mean, look at all the Mario stages. Almost all of them are some kind of rip-off of the first level from Super Mario Bros. 1. Look at all the Sonic stages. They're both very Green Hill Zone-esque. Look at all the F-Zero stages. They just... You see what I'm saying? It's like, so many of these stages feel like they could have had more variety to them. But instead, they just chose more grassy fields, more cities, more World 1 based levels from different games, and I just feel like there's not enough variety. I mean, we don't have like a snow level, we don't have a proper kind of like beach level, a water level, we don't have like a Bowser's Castle level, we don't have a whole lot of, I mean, yes, we have some like lava levels, but like the Metroid stages, but they, you know, we don't have any that feel like they're actually inside of or part of like an erupting volcano or something like that. I just feel like there's so much variety, and they went too simple. Not to mention, there's a lot of stages in here that felt very pointless. Like, for instance, Pokemon Stadium and Pokemon Stadium 2. Did we really need both? Why didn't they combine the two stages to be one stage? That's one thing that bugged me ever since Pokemon Stadium 2 was introduced in Brawl. I did not, you know, when I heard they were having a stage about Pokemon Stadium 2, I was expecting it, by the appearance, to be both a recreation of the original, with, like, new additions added to it. Instead, it was it was a redesigned stage, but it did not include the same exact transitions as Pokemon Stadium 1 from Melee. So, when I then found out Pokemon Stadium 1 was a separate unlockable stage, it was like, okay, what was the point? Why didn't they just combine them into one stage? Pokemon Stadium 2 pretty much was just a remake of Pokemon Stadium, but, you know, it had different gimmicks, and I just did not understand that. Okay, maybe Brawl had limitations, it couldn't combine the two at the time, but I really don't see how it couldn't have done it now, though. I mean, you think they would have had the idea that they should have combined them into, you know, just called it Pokemon Stadium Ultimate or something. Have it where it has all the transformations from Stadium and Stadium 2 combined. Nope, we have them as two separate stages now, and the closest you can get to having them feel like a 2-in-1 is to have the stage changing mode on in the settings menu, and I can't remember the name of it, but the stage that allows you to transform between 1 and 2 stages. Have that on and select both Pokemon Stadium, Pokemon Stadium 2. The problem is that's not quite the same as fighting on the same arena, because it won't feel as randomized as like the original, because pretty much you're just taking turns playing on one stage, but seamlessly, you know, just you're just teleporting over from one stage to another. It doesn't really feel like it's the same stage with different elements, and so yeah, that's kind of a letdown. I was surprised, like, one thing that always disappointed me about Super Smash Bros. Is how they never gave any acknowledgement to the Pokemon Coliseum or XD spin-offs. Yeah, they've given attention to a lot of the other Pokemon spin-offs. Melee had a bunch of trophies. Well, had a trophy inspired by Pokemon Snap. And so I never got, though, why wasn't Coliseum or XD ever represented in Smash Bros. In any form, whether it was trophies or stickers or even spirits, stages. I mean, I always thought it would have been neat if they made an arena based off of Pokemon Coliseum. Never did, though. As far as, like, although it might not be intentional, it's like, as far as I know, the only possible nod to Pokemon Coliseum is one of Mewtwo's alternate forms that kind of resembles the color scheme of Shadow Lugia from Pokemon XD, but that's about it. Now this is a pretty tricky stage. I believe it was called Bouncing Mario, or Mario Bouncing. It was one of those two, but boy, this is trickier than it needs to be. Here, when you hear the name of the stage, you think it's just going to be a stationary Mario slowly bouncing up and down. I was not expecting it to be a broken physics mess. With a bunch of lava at the bottom. This stage might be fun at parties. Yeah, that's one thing I like about Stage Builder, how some people can practically create their own game modes just by making really tricky courses. It's almost like they're Mario Party mini-games, but to the extreme. Speaking of, like, party games, I heard they're making another Mario and Sonic Olympic crossover. Now, it's like, a part of me is both excited yet disappointed, because, you know, I'm glad that they're still keeping, like, Mario and Sonic crossing over with each other outside of Smash Bros. But at the same time, it's like, really, another Olympics crossover? I mean, I kind of want to see them make another kind of crossover. Heck, I'd rather see a Mario and Sonic Party or a Mario and Sonic Sports crossover than another Olympics tie-in. You know, of course we all would love to see, like, an actual adventure story mode with them. One that treats it seriously, not like a joke, like the Olympic handheld games. Those were terrible stories. Ugh. Heck, they were terrible games in general. I like the home console versions a lot better, but, I was not a fan of the story modes. I thought they were very underwhelming. But, so, other than that, though, you know, I still have some little enjoyment in getting, the Mario and Sonic games. I feel like ever since Nintendo took over the series, though, some of the, like, gameplay of it has died down a bit. I liked it better when Sega was the publisher. Like, they did the first two Mario and Sonic Olympic games, both the first Summer Olympics and the original Winter Olympics. But then Nintendo took over ever since the London Olympics, and I'll admit the London Olympic was actually really good. I liked that one, but I'd say it wasn't until the jump to Wii U where the series started dying down a bit. I mean, don't get me wrong, not all the games were bad, though, but they made, since Nintendo took over that series, they just kind of messed up a lot of things. So, you know, the 3DS ones I thought were terrible. They had terrible controls, terrible stories, underwhelming lack of content and playable characters, and I hated how you can only play as 4 different characters per event, compared to, like, the home console versions where you gotta play as everyone in every event. And then, you know, the last one to come out, which was, the Rio Olympics from Wii U. Although that one was a huge improvement over the Winter Olympics for, Wii U, I still felt like it was a mixed bag of content. I hated how they got rid of a lot of the original motion controls from the Wii versions that were actually really fun. You know, and they replaced it with button mashing that just really killed some of the events, where there were some events in the original Wii versions that were really comfortable to play of how smooth the Wii controls worked, with the Wii remotes and all that, but just replacing it with the gamepad controls and not adding any motion to it, it kind of made a lot of the events feel dumb. No, I'm not against the idea of button controls. I think they could have made it optional and work, but no, that's the problem. They forced you to use button controls, and I would have liked to have been able to switch between both, kind of like how Mario Kart allows you to switch between button and motion controls. You know, choose which one you would rather play with, and I feel that's one thing that Nintendo lacked to accomplish with the last Mario and Sonic Olympic game entry they did. And so, let me see, another problem that I really hate about the Wii U version was, of the Rio Olympics, was how it teased that there were going to be a lot of new playable characters, same thing with the 3DS version, but in the end, all the new characters they introduced were exclusive to one event only, and that was a huge letdown. You know, when I heard Styx the Badger, Rosalina, Rouge the Bat, and so many other characters were going to be playable, I was excited, only to realize they're only available for one event. That's stupid. That's just really stupid. Why would you tease us like this? And and I thought, like, another reason why I'm so glad for the Switch to be a thing is because I hated how it felt like they intentionally dumbed down both versions of the games just to try to sell them twice. So they made, you know, like a dumbed down version for the 3DS that had some modes that would have been better off on the Wii U version. And then the Wii U version, you know, had a lot of content that was cut, and it was moved over to the 3DS version just to try to sell the game twice. And, you know, it's like the Wii U version, you should have got more for how much you spent on that. It was a $60 game, but although the 3DS version was a $40 game, it still felt like a ripoff for how limited the game was. And it just made me wonder, you know, if they didn't split this across 2 different consoles, one that was an inferior handheld console and one that was an HD home console, it's like, imagine how much better that game could have been. Same thing with Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS. Instead of being split across 2 consoles, what if it was just made for Wii U, not with the intention of splitting features that could work on both the Wii U and 3DS? That would have been a much better game in my opinion, and Ultimate kind of proves my point. The only thing that the Wii U version has over Ultimate are trophies, and that the only thing the 3DS had over Switch besides trophies were Smash Run. And that's about it. But with the Mario and Sonic games, there's just too many glaring issues where you wonder, like, okay, why wasn't this mode made for this version, or vice versa? And, yeah, other than that, though, there was some enjoyment with the Rio Olympics on Wii U. But darn it, it's not as fun to play anymore because Miiverse is no longer a thing. I thought the Miiverse was really fun in that game. It was really funny to just post screenshots and draw like little reactions to go with it. I had a lot of fun not only making those, but even seeing what others came up with, and a lot of them were really fun. And one thing I do think the Wii U versions of Mario and Sonic had really well compared to the previous versions were the graphics were amazing. Though, you know, this is the first jump for HD for those characters in the crossover series, and although I felt like they could have done a much better job of redesigning the Mario characters in HD, though, because while they looked superior to their Wii versions, there was just something off about their lack of facial expressions. I mean, compare them to the Sonic characters. I thought the Sonic characters did a great job. They had a much wider range of emotions compared to what you saw on the Wii or 3DS. But then you look at the Mario characters, and it looks like they all have just like one facial expression. They're just staring blankly into the air, which kind of gives it a creepy vibe. It's like, then you compare it to the Sonic characters, they look more alive when they're doing a sporting event. And so that's one thing I really hope they can fix with this new one. I mean, it looks like Nintendo's at least been trying to add more personality to the characters ever since the Switch. I mean, Mario Odyssey, the characters have had more facial interactions and expressions when it comes to both gameplay and cutscenes. So who knows, maybe they will kind of touch up their models to have better facial expressions. That way it doesn't make them look so alienated versus like the Sonic characters. So it was so strange how Sonic characters always looked more detailed, but not the Mario characters. But I like the presentation of the Wii U version of Rio Olympics too. I liked how instead of a menu, it just dropped you off on a hub world. And the only thing I hated was how it forced you to play as Mii's at first, but I liked how eventually, if you were good enough, you could unlock the ability to control the other characters in the hub world. I just wish that was there from the beginning, because I really don't care about playing as Mii's in those games, and that's what really pissed me off a lot about those crossovers, how it focused more on getting unlockables for the Mii's. I really want those unlockables for the other characters instead. Why do I want to dress up the actual Mii's, you know, like in all these different costumes? I'd rather have Sonic running around in a top hat or something silly, you know. I don't want to dress up the Mii's with this stuff. Don't get me started on the 3DS version of Rio, where it made the Mii the main character who upstaged all the main characters, and that was so stupid. I hated that. So here we have a stage based off a meme from Madagascar 2, Moto Moto. I thought this stage was pretty funny.
Out of my way.
One last thing I'll mention about the Mario and Sonic games, though. So another thing that really bugged me about, like, when Nintendo took over the Mario and Sonic Olympic series, I noticed the dream events were dying down. And those were my favorite parts of the original games. Heck, I would rather they stop making the Olympic games and just make a game called Mario and Sonic Dream Events or something like that. Just nothing but those crazy crossover mini-games where, you know, we see the characters in, like, mini-games inspired by their past adventures. I mean, there was just something so fun about that. Like, I'll never forget, like, how fun it was, like, especially on the first Winter Olympics one for Wii. I thought that one had some of the best dream events in the whole series. And, like, I just loved, not only was it fun to, like, go sledding or skiing, like, across, like, Mario Kart race tracks or some tracks inspired by Sonic Adventure 2, but one that I just couldn't help but get a laugh out of was the ice skating minigame, where it was based off the story of Sonic Adventure. I just loved how, like, at the end, Perfect Chaos came out and how all the ice skaters had a, you know, pull on a performance that made it look like they were collecting all the Chaos Emeralds and defeating him. I just thought that was so nostalgic, funny, and just fun. It was overall fun, and then, you know, it's like they really slowed down ever since the Winter Olympics for Wii U. I noticed, like, there were less dream events on that. Some of them were good, though. I kind of liked the Snowball Fight one, but other than that, I just thought it was very underwhelming. And just when I thought it couldn't get any worse, then came the Rio Olympics. So the 3DS one did, in fact, have dream events, but they were not the same. Now, what made the Dream events more fun in the past games was how not only were the levels inspired by past Mario and Sonic games or levels, but they had a bunch of power-ups inspired by both Mario and Sonic power-ups, and that helped make them add kind of like a bit of a Mario Kart craziness to a bunch of the sporting events, and that made the game fun. But Rio, not only did it get rid of, instead of making levels based off of past Mario and Sonic levels, instead they just brought in elements from those games and just mixed them into the regular events. So it's like one of the swimming events, they just added a bunch of thwomps from Mario to add bigger splashes of waves, but it was pretty boring, honestly. It was basically just the same minigame with a little decoration going on in the background that kind of altered the waves a bit, and that was about it. And then, as for the Wii U version, there were no Dream events at all, which made it more infuriating. It's like, okay, why did the 3DS only get Dream events, and why were they so suckish? Ugh. So, the new Mario and Sonic, which will be based off the Tokyo Olympics, from what I've seen so far, like, although the screenshots don't give a lot away, I gotta say, it doesn't look too bad so far. One thing that kind of surprised me was how it looks like almost every character is getting their own track outfit. Well, that's all I have to show for now. Thank you for watching. See you next time. Goodbye.